What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. Okay, well, we're going to go through the most recent town hall. This is my 5 biggest takeaways from that town hall. It is not a summary. There are fantastic summaries, both written and video, which I don't know where they are right now. The team has not put out their official summary, and some of the other content creators haven't put it out, so I have nothing to visually reference here for you, but hopefully they will be out in the near future. So I thought I would just pull up the Hive Engine token list and see kind of where the prices are now. But I do have my 5 biggest takeaways written out here, and I'll be referencing these so to give you a little preview of what we'll be discussing. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Well, before we do that, actually, this was a crazy town hall. Yabbamat was on it. If you missed it, I actually highly recommend going back and giving it a listen. They covered so much, and it's one of those things where I could have had like a billion bonus items added on here, but I tried to be as selective as I could be. The thing is, there's so much that is happening over the next couple of weeks, and one of the things that I tweeted out after the town hall is just like, this town hall ran for almost 2.5 hours. And I don't think there was a single mention of Modern and Wild format, which are coming out in 3 days. So that, to me, just shows how much is going on within the game, how much the team is focusing on. Well, a lot of the they dug into a lot of the bot stuff, which I appreciate, because they wanted to use this town hall as a way to address this head on. And I thought that they did a good job talking about that, as well as talking through a lot of the upcoming major changes within the game. So if you missed the major post last night on Peak D, you can go through and read that, and the team kind of expanded on it today, with Yabbamat really taking most of the time, as everybody wanted, to hear what he had to say and what the overall vision for the game is, kind of like a status report and where we're going over the next couple of months. So let's go ahead and now dive into this. And the big thing, in case you missed it, was that SPS ranked battle rewards are going to be replacing DEC rewards, which is going to shake up the entire thing. And I was saying in the video last night covering that post that if SPS burning for DEC becomes confirmed, right? So where you can burn $1 of SPS for 1,000 DEC, that is going to be the new peg mechanism versus what they used to have, which was the DEC printing, right? So they would print, you know, 1 million DEC every single day if DEC was at its peg. If it's higher than its peg, then it would print more, and we get kind of like this double bonus. And then whenever it's lower than its peg, it would print less, and we get this double negative, right? Because there's less to go around, and when you do get it, it's worth even less than it was. So with this being the case, and this being the new peg mechanism that they'll be moving to, it's very similar to the Terra Luna project, which we all know famously collapsed. Although the way that they are structuring this is that DEC as the stablecoin is going to be backed by the product. So you will always be able to, well, and then this is where we need to get into it. You will, for the most part, be able to go in and buy products within the game at a rate of 0.001, right, per DEC token. And so the reason I say it's not always going to be available is because I know they want to take some time off in between releases. So if that time in between releases, so for example, once Chaos Legion sells out, if it's a month, 2 months, 3 months between the end of Chaos Legion and the beginning of Rebellion, there could be some times where DEC essentially falls off of its peg. In fact, if anything, it'll float to the downside, which wouldn't be great for SPS either. But what this tells me is that long term, the way that Matt framed it, and I hadn't been thinking about this, but essentially all of the DEC utility that the team wants to have in the future, so whether that's for guilds, whether that's for market transactions, whether that's for land, and, you know, guild and land will potentially be DEC burning sinks, right? So that is all essentially going to flow downstream into SPS utility. So I've been the one screaming for SPS utility. I want something for it because I just feel like this token has been abused and completely neglected in its first year of existence. And we've seen it go all the way from $1 plus now to 4 cents as we're looking at right now. And so I like the way that this is going. Is it going to have an immediate impact? I don't know. It's hard to say. But the idea that, if DEC is backed by the products and the products are there and can actually do, like there's no reason right now. There's no reason for anybody to buy packs with credits. If you can get your hands on DEC, you are getting a 40% discount. Why would you ever pay full price when you can get a 40% discount? So in that vein, like, as long as the demand for packs remains there, like if I'm going to buy packs, I'm going to use DEC. And so that should hopefully start to eat up a lot of the DEC in the game. Now, the other thing too is they're trying to focus on guilds and leveling up guilds. And with guilds, DEC used there is burned, right? And we'll have land, not this year, but probably sometime next year, functional land, I should say. And so it might be a while for this to stabilize itself out. But when it does, and hopefully if and when it does, I should say, then the idea of being able to take some arbitrage for whenever DEC goes above its peg, for example, where you can burn SPS in that instance, I like it. I like it a lot. So again, I'm long-term bullish on SPS, but still short-term kind of bearish on where it currently stands. So that's the main thing that was confirmed. I think, Yabamat had been talking about it in previous town halls for a while. So I think we all kind of knew that it was coming, but with, in lieu of all of the updates that were given to us the previous night in that post, we just wanted to make sure that that was still, excuse me, that was still kind of the game plan moving forward. So that's the main thing. Or that's number one, I should say. And it makes me feel good about it. I think I'll probably be talking about this for quite a while as we move forward. So, I'll dig into SPS and DEC and the new tokenomics as we get more information. Now, number two, we got some focus clarifications here, and this was actually quite nice. There were a couple questions that people had actually asked on the stream here, or in the comment section from one of the previous video posts. And so the idea was, well, let's say you are playing, let's say you have a life quest, for example, right? And you play your life summoner, but then you play a bunch of neutral cards. Are you going to get bonuses for playing the neutral cards? And the answer, rightfully so, is no. So it's only going to be for life quests. In the same vein, the thing that we didn't know that Yabamat kind of pointed out was, now let's say you have that same life quest, you could play life, but you could also play dragon with life, and any life cards you play will give you that bonus. Now, keep in mind, I don't think people are going to be focused on the bonuses as much, because every win with this new update is going to give you focus points for the day. It's just how much of a bonus are you looking to get by playing the actual quest. So whether that is a Splinter focus quest, I'm sorry, they're not quests anymore, the Splinter focuses, or if it's going to be an ability focus, right? So sneak, snipe, any and all that fun stuff. So hearing that was kind of cool. I just wanted to share it here because I know I'd gotten several comments on it. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys and answers that question. Okay, let's get into the heavier stuff now. Number three, this was something that Yabamat mentioned that is kind of like the overall view of how they were looking at SPS distribution and dilution over the course of, I guess it's distribution, it's minting, whatever you want to call it. And so the airdrop, which is supposed to last a year, and that's coming to an end now, was a way to reward all asset holders. So people had been playing this game for roughly 3 years before, SPS was introduced, right? This came out, I believe, in May of 2018, and this was introduced, SPS was first launched at the end of July 2021. So for 3 years, people were playing in the game, earning cards, earning DEC, just kind of chugging along. Just go listen to all the OG stories, right? And SPS, being the governance token, was launched as a way it was launched and the airdrop was used as a way to reward all of those asset holders, people who had been buying cards, accumulating cards over time, had been holding DEC, whatever the case is, or land, totems, all that fun stuff. That was all given out to the team. Now that period is coming to an end. And this next period is going to be very much focused on rewarding players. So it's not just, are you an investor? Are you just sitting on assets? It is, are you playing the game? And so whether that is ranked battle rewards, which we know is coming, as well as the now kind of recently discussed brawl rewards for SPS, those will be two avenues which will be introduced that are going to offer players, people who are actively participating, a way to play within the game and earn SPS. So that's exciting to me. Again, I don't know how much of an effect it will have overall, because I still believe that it's going to have a bit of sell pressure on it, because if you're earning it, sure, you might value it a little bit more, but people were selling DEC as well. I mean, it's hard to say, because DEC just had such a stranglehold on people because it had such a good APR. So many people, whenever they'd earn DEC, if they didn't need to spend it, why not hold it for at least a day or at least a couple of hours and get the airdrop, right? But now, unless SPS utility comes fast and furious, I still believe that people will be selling out of SPS, believing that the price will go lower. And yes, I do believe in the short term that the SPS price can go lower. So if we get this ranked battle rewards update coming in sometime in August, for example, and we don't get, let's say DEC stays below its peg for a couple of months because pack sales are slow, whatever the case ends up being, I can see SPS still continuing to struggle, especially if we stay in an extended bear market or Bitcoin nukes down to whatever price. So in that vein, I don't think that this is going to be like a major fix for the economy. The good thing, and I talked about this in a previous video that I posted, is that the amount of value that's going to be given out for SPS rewards is going to be significantly higher than what we're getting in DEC right now. So that is a solid win for the community. But again, if you're focused on what the dollar value is, then you're probably going to be cashing out a little bit, right? At least, or maybe you just want it for like vanity or for your own like emotional health, to be like, yes, at least I'm earning something from this, rather than, fractions of a penny here. But for most people, I would say that if you're earning it, I wouldn't be surprised if people start selling out of SPS. And again, there's no judgment here. Feel free to interact with the game how you want to interact with it. There's people around the world who are able to put food on their table by earning SPS and selling it after, winning a tournament or playing a game. So if that's, however you interact with the game, it's awesome. I totally respect it. I'm not trying to attack it in any way. My point is that the team will need to really implement and be thoughtful about the utility and get that here as quickly as possible so that people think twice about selling. And actually, I don't even want the people to think twice about selling. I want people out there to be the buyers. I want there to be more buyers than sellers, because SPS is just something you got to have, and you don't want to sell it unless you absolutely need to. That's the kind of attitude we need to have around SPS. So I like that, thinking about this from this kind of new phase where it's going to be very player focused or player centric. So for someone like myself who does enjoy playing the game quite a bit, I'm looking forward to hopefully earning or having more avenues to earn SPS in addition to just staking, or hopefully with like node rewards, which are probably going to be the two other main ones that will be available. All right, number 4, let's move on to Rift Watchers. Now, Rift Watchers is planned for August, and Yabamet was saying that there's a lot planned for August, and if you listen to the town hall, there is a lot planned for August. So I'm not optimistic that we're going to get everything. Again, not out of hate or throwing shade. It's just, I think the team gets really just like really charged up about this, and they're like, man, we have so many things that we want to give to the community, and we just want to go boom, boom, boom. But it's not as easy as boom, boom, boom. Sometimes you gotta, there might be something that they need to fix, or there's going to be delays here and there. He said the latest would be September. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take them at their word on that. Again, personally for me, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets pushed out a little bit later. Although the only reason that I would say that September really does kind of ring true for me is because Splinterfest is going to be in October, and I feel like with the team traveling for that and just so much hoopla around Splinterfest, I don't know that they're going to be wanting to focus on a release of a new set, right? Even though it's a mini set or a mini edition, I think they're going to want to have that available. Now, we don't know any details about the pre-sale, how long it'll be, if it'll be a month, just a couple of weeks. We don't know vouchers, all that fun stuff, but they did share that there will be summoners, and these summoners will be epic summoners, so different from the rare summoners we got in Rift Watchers, in Chaos Legion, DICE, and what's that called? Untamed. So these will be some of the only epic summoners that you'll be able to use in the modern format, in addition to Kretch, who is a previous rewards card. So these epic summoners will also have abilities, and the only reason I say that is because there are there are like 2 mana epic summoners right now that have no abilities. So these epic summoners coming out are going to have some abilities. And so it'll be a different kind of meta. I don't know what the mana is. I don't know. Maybe 5 mana if I'm going to guess. Five seems kind of right because, 4 was rare. 6 is legendary for Chaos Legion. Five would just fit perfectly with an epic summoner. Unless maybe it's like a 3 mana summoner with like 2 abilities. I don't know. That could be interesting too because it's epic. So I'm sure we're going to get into that quite a bit more. But there will be summoners. So the way that I'm looking at Rift Watchers is I think it's going to follow a very similar path to what is that called? Dice, where we got to see... Oh, let's go back to Dice, where essentially you had a bunch of legendaries, a common for each splinter, and then a rare for each splinter, but each of these rares ended up being a summoner, and then the epics were kind of just sprinkled in. So where the sprinkling in happens now, I don't know. Maybe the rares will get sprinkled in instead of the epics, because I believe we're going to get an epic summoner for each, right? It would be kind of weird if we didn't get an epic summoner for each splinter. But this is exciting. Rift Watchers is just around the corner, and Yabamat was talking about it quite a bit, especially as a way to give SPS utility. So again, I'm not trying to be bearish. I'm trying to be realistic about how much price movement can actually happen. But again, this is utility, and it will be legitimate utility. But what I'm warning of, or at least, again, this isn't warning because this isn't financial advice, but what I'm viewing it as is a potential like pump and dump opportunity, right? Like if there's nothing that comes after Rift Watchers in terms of, like a promo card or some kind of ongoing utility, or if we don't get the DEC back up to its peg by that point in time, then yeah, I can't see, SPS necessarily going on this ride all the way up to the moon. But you know what? We're in a bear market, and these cycles are going to happen. We are going to have periods of, not euphoria, that's say for a bull market, but we are going to have periods of rallies followed by periods where things just keep dragging further and further down. And so, how much lower can it get from 4 cents? I don't know, but I don't think that there's a floor anymore. There was a floor when the private investor sale was going on, and it's not even a real floor. It's just the investors who were getting 20 million SPS unlocked every month probably wouldn't be selling. I mean, maybe they would be at their price, their buying price of 1.8 cents. But again, it's hard to say. So I don't know where this goes in the future, but short term, I'm still bearish on the value of SPS. Okay, and then the last part. This is maybe the most exciting thing, and I'd been considering making a separate video about this, and I might still actually do so once I can wrap my head around it a little bit more. But the partnerships that Splinterlands has set up, and there have been several mentioned so far. So the first one that we heard of was Warner Music, and Yabamat said that was actually announced quite early on in the process because somebody had asked for an update on it, and it sounds like they're still in the brainstorming phase, which 4 months later, whatever it is it feels a little slow, right? And so Yabamat was saying that they're still kind of early, or they announced it early on in the phase. But there's been talk about casinos, there are some type of casino style game. There's been talk about some collaborations with sports leagues, and then Hardpoint was on a couple of weeks ago talking about this arcade game, I should say, that's going to be developed by another gaming studio, but utilize the assets within Splinterlands. And so what Yabamat talked about was potential, let me explain it for folks, because I think he did a good job, and he had talked about this before, but just to help folks understand why they took on all these different partnerships. It's because these companies, sports leagues, organizations, whatever the case was, were looking to partner with projects in the Web3 gaming, crypto gaming, NFT gaming space. And so they approached Splinterlands and were probably in talks with many other top games at the time, right? Like think of your Axie Infinity and Gods Unchained and whatever other top games, Illuvium, like all those games at the time. Now, when they approached Splinterlands, the option is, the choices that the team had, according to Matt, were we say no and say we're only going to focus on our game, or they say yes and work to expand the team to bring in the proper resources and create a way to have some type of collaboration and partnership with these companies. And in that way, they could provide value both externally and internally for Splinterlands, the game, and Splinterlands asset holders and investors. Now, what do I mean externally and internally? Okay, so externally is on the maybe marketing or branding side, right? You create these partnerships and you work with Warner Music, for example, or a sports league. And if you're a sponsor, that's name recognition, that's impressions that people are seeing. And the thing is, when I don't know how many times it takes, especially in a crypto bear market, how many times it takes for an ad to play before you check it out. For some people, that's one time. For some people, that's 100 times. And for some people, it's just never going to work. But regardless, there are people all along that spectrum, right? And so the type of collaborations that you could do, especially across the board here, would bring a lot of brand awareness to what Splinterlands is. And it seems as though Splinterlands is trying to branch out from just being a card game into being this really powerful brand. Now, this is where I lean heavily into the IP, and being on the creative team and working with a creative team is awesome for that. But I don't need to be on the creative team to understand that the intellectual property in this game can be very valuable and lucrative in the long term. There's a ton of characters here that have rich lore and stories. We have this kind of ongoing lore that is released every week that is building out the characters further. And so this brand of what Splinterlands could be, the story, the characters, the IP of it is really powerful in my opinion. And so being able to partner up with major brands and whatever from a branding perspective, I think could be awesome. On the internal part, this is even more exciting. I was excited about the external part, but the internal part is even better, because what Yabamat is talking about is, well, if we're able to partner up with all of these different companies, then they have the potential control or option to find a way to provide value to Splinterlands asset holders, specifically SPS is what he said. And here I'm going to paraphrase him, but this is something that I've been feeling for a very long time, and what I kind of want to make a separate video about. So I'll still probably end up doing that. But he said the value, like, this could be one of the biggest utilities in terms of bringing value to SPS. And this has nothing to do with the actual game itself, but just the fact that the team can partner up with some of the biggest brands, organizations out there. And if they can create a game for maybe an A-list musician with Warner, or a top sports league, or some type of casino thing, or arcade, whatever the case is, whatever that ends up being, let's say that game comes out with a token of its own or NFTs of its own, right? This is what Yabamat was talking about, where you can get airdrops, or they can find ways to reward people from their initial project, Splinterlands, by airdropping them tokens. Now, this is also one of the reasons that I bought a node, and I'm just going to put that out there as well, because I worried about the fact that since they were taking some of the utility away from SPS by giving vouchers to nodes, that maybe they'd follow the Gala model as well, and they'll split out rewards between SPS holders and node holders. He didn't say that though, and I'm not trying to get anybody to ape into a node right now. I'm just telling you exactly why I bought a node, even though I really didn't want to at the time. I wanted to have one, and now I have one, but I wasn't ready to buy one yet. I felt like I needed to get one. I do want to have one because I believe in the decentralization of the game, and I want to have, play my part in doing that. But it wasn't because, like, I bought it because I felt the FOMO on the other side, that real fear of missing out on potential airdrops. But again, I'm not trying to talk about nodes too much here or get anybody to ape into nodes, because he didn't mention nodes. He mentioned SPS and how this could bring value to SPS in the long term. So in a way, if vouchers end up being split up and going to nodes because of the fact that they wanted to provide some kind of value to nodes, and they end up bringing all future value, whether it's from internal within the game or external from other games and other collaborations, and bringing that to SPS, I think I can live with that, especially because SPS is still my biggest bag in this game, and I continue to accumulate and plan to continue accumulating. I know I posted a video that I'd sold a while back, but it was a small chunk, and it was because I wanted to have funds aside to either buy back in at a lower price, which we are seeing now. We're about 10% lower, so I could buy a significant amount more SPS with that capital I have sitting on the sideline. Or I could go in and buy cards because the utility of the cards is something that I can take advantage of in the meantime while SPS is still kind of being built out and thought through. So this gets me excited. Again, the partnership stuff, it sounds like we're going to hear a little bit more about this in August. And I mean, we're already pretty much in the middle of July at this point. So it seems as though it's right around the corner. Now, that being said, here's where I got to temper everybody's expectations. This is exciting. You can obviously tell that I'm very bullish and I'm feeling, adrenaline pumping on all this stuff. Let's not forget that delays happen. And let's not forget that, again, no shade, but the track record for delivering things on time hasn't really been there. So I'm hopeful and I'm actually somewhat optimistic that the team is going to deliver quite a bit of stuff in August. But if they don't, then just cut them some slack, right? Because I'm just saying right now, with the amount of things that they're trying to put out there, it doesn't seem like everything is going to fit in August. And I kind of said the same thing when they were talking about nodes and Modern and Wild and ranked rewards. They were talking about all this stuff for potentially in May. And here we are where we got, kind of one in May, the nodes, one in June technically, or I guess it was the end of May, but really it's June, which is the ranked rewards. And now we are days away from getting Modern, which is going to be in July. So a lot of things in the works. And hopefully the team has this infrastructure now to really implement this and go boom, boom, boom. And I think we've seen some of that with all of these ranked rewards updates that are coming from player feedback and then quickly getting turned around into code and being launched out into the game. But in case they don't get there, right? In case we don't get everything we're hoping for in August, cut them some slack. We'll see what happens in September. And, I'm starting to come around to this whole hardpoint summer of Splinterlands type of idea, because I'm hopeful that we're going to get a lot of stuff in August. But I'm also understanding of the fact that we may not see that until September. And, something like Rift Watchers, maybe even in October. But I think the team has every incentive to try to get everything that they talked about out as quickly as possible so that Splinterfest in October can actually be just a chance for everyone to chill. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, I am at the moment planning to go to Splinterfest. I'm not booked or anything, but I do want to go, and I'm hoping that you will as well. And so it's just going to be good to shake some hands, meet some people face to face, and turn this from a very virtual experience into a real IRL one. So I'm looking forward to that. But that is all I have for you guys in this video. I know this probably ran a little bit longer than I was expecting, but if you cannot tell, I'm still very excited. I'm still very bullish on the game, even though I am somewhat bearish on the token still. So we will see how things play out, but we got Modern and Wild this week. So exciting. And just a lot of great stuff around the corner. We got the end of the airdrop and fun stuff. So I will catch you guys all later. Have an amazing rest of your day. I will see you all in the next video, and I will see you around the game as well. I'll catch you all in the next video, and I'll see you around the game. See, I messed up there. It's all good though. Take care.